The Rafale is probably the second most hyped jet of this patch, with the first obviously being the Eurofighter. I think people are really looking forward to that jet, and as well as just how many nations it's going to be added to. But the Rafale in the French tech tree, well, it's the one that I am personally most excited for, because you guys know I love flying out the Mirage 2000 right now, even at 13.7, and I think that the Rafale has the potential to be a good upgrade over that. And we'll talk all about that in just a minute. But first, guys, I am trying to hit 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's a very steep goal, if not at least early 2025. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel already and you watch my videos anyways, then there's really no reason not to, and I would really appreciate it. At the time of recording, I am at 36,608 subscribers, so it'd be really cool if after this video we can get to 36,700. Now, of course, on to the Rafale. Why do I think this could be an upgrade over the Mirage 2000? And more importantly, why do I think that right now it really isn't that much of an upgrade over the Mirage 2000? If at all, arguably it's just straight up a downgrade. And I will admit, usually I would get most of this kind of information about the real life planes from my good pal Generally. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, check him out, look at his What to Expect series, but unfortunately he hasn't made a What to Expect from the Rafale, at least not one that I've seen in recent history. So I don't know what to expect, Lee. You're kind of slacking. So I apologize if I get something wrong. My knowledge of these things in real life isn't the greatest, but as far as War Thunder goes, I know that the Rafale is probably going to have a better flight model in 1 vs 1s, as well as just ARB in general, I think, over the Mirage 2000. The Mirage 2000 is a much more dated airframe. The Rafale should have more thrust to weight, it should be more nimble in dogfights, and actually it was buffed a little bit ago, probably about, I don't know, 30 something hours ago at the time of recording. So if you played the Rafale on the dev server day 1, it has changed since then, and it actually can beat the Eurofighter in a 1 vs 1 duel as of right now. Of course, everything's subject to change. The flight models aren't finished. They are clearly not finished. So I wouldn't really worry about it, Eurofighter bros. I think that the Eurofighter is going to receive some buffs before the live server. And I think just in general, the two planes are going to be tweaked quite a bit more before the live server here. But as it stands right now, the Rafale beats the Eurofighter in a dogfight, as well as the Mirage 2000 in a dogfight. Of course, that is not what top tier is all about, though it is a nice tool to have in your back pocket. Top tier is mostly about slinging your missiles at unsuspecting targets at opportune moments, and the equipment you have to assist you in doing so and make it easier and provide more opportunities is what ultimately is going to make the fighter meta. And I think the Rafale has a good shot at this because of the fact that it retains that same old high angle of attack maneuvering, HMD, Mika missile firing gameplay that the Mirage 2000 has. It allows you to be offensive and defensive at the same time. I am very much looking forward to that. I think it's a great thing to have on a plane. But not only that, the Rafale allegedly, from what I know, is supposed to get an ASA radar, which how useful that would actually be in ARB and just in War Thunder in general, I'm not quite sure. As I said, I'm not the most knowledgeable about this kind of stuff in real life. I don't really know the advantages of ASA, at least in a way that would translate into War Thunder. Perhaps if you're a sim player, it could be more useful. But as far as air realistic battle goes, I really can't see it being that much of an upgrade, but it is still technically probably an upgrade that you'd be looking forward to with the Rafale. The main thing though, of course, is going to be the loadout and the HMD and the flight model in combination, which to me looks like it could potentially be a straight upgrade. As of right now, the Rafale does have a worse loadout than the Mirage 2000. Both planes carry 6 Mika missiles, but the Mirage 2000 also carries 2 Magic 2s. In addition to that, the Rafale does not even have Magic 2s as an option right now on the dev server. As far as I know, the Magic 2 should be an option, so I expect the Rafale to have the option to carry Magic 2s by the live server. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below. And one other thing I would appreciate if you guys correct me on, I've heard that the Rafale is supposed to have 8 missile pylons rather than 6. So, and not only 8 missile pylons, but also 8 Mika pylons. So unlike the Mirage 2000, you could maybe be able to take 8 Mika missiles and do that high off-boresight slinging Mika gameplay, as well as having a competent flight model with a lot of chaff. I think it could be very strong. And this is where we run into one of the big drawbacks of the plane, and that's if it gets all that stuff. That's a big if right now. It might not. But even if it does get all that stuff, it's lacking countermeasures. It only has 32 flares, which isn't the end of the world because IR missiles aren't super common these days. People aren't slinging them all the time, but it is definitely a downgrade compared to what you get with the Mirage 2000 and many other top tiers. You do get a little over 100 chaff, which is enough for most games of ARB. I don't think you're typically going to be running out unless you really have to do some intensive carrying, which isn't all too common, but even then you should be fine. So really it's just the flares. I would like to see more flares, but unfortunately I don't think that the Rafale can carry any more flares. In real life there's supposed to be some special kind of flares that very accurately mimic the heat signature of the plane, and therefore it doesn't have to drop nearly as many flares. And so that's how they get away with carrying only 32. Of course, this isn't a thing in War Thunder, so that is quite a large point of concern right now. I think that's enough yap about the Rafale. I am pretty excited for what this plane could be, but that's a lot of hypotheticals, it's a lot of ifs. As of right now, I think I would rather probably just play the Mirage 2000, but we'll just see when the live server actually comes out. I have just killed an F-14 in a BVR fight while he's shooting AIM-54s at me. Yes, you might not understand how that's possible, but when you understand the way BVR actually works in War Thunder and how BVR really doesn't actually exist in War Thunder, if you know what you're doing, inevitably the fight's going to end up in close range and the Rafale wins every single time. And that's really the main highlight of this gameplay in particular, I think, is just the 1v1 capability of the Rafale, and really by extension the Mirage 2000, because it's that Mika missile HMD combo, the high angle of attack flight performance. It makes these planes extremely difficult to beat in a 1 versus 1 scenario. And on these small def server games, it's pretty easy to isolate targets into 1v1s. Again, making BVR almost an irrelevant concept, because if you're somewhat competent in top tier, you're never going to actually die to the BVR missiles. It's basically always going to end up in a high off-bore, active radar, HMD slinging, notch, chaff, defend, rinse and repeat type of fight. And that's obviously what the Rafale excels extremely well at, Mirage 2000 included. So we have a Eurofighter locked up who really has been having a hard time finding us, I think, throughout most of this fight, so it really hasn't been much of a fair fight, but he decides to be a little brave and turn into me once he does see me, which is a big mistake because that just means he dies to my Mikas. Unfortunately though, people just kind of keep spawning into some of these depth server games. You could kill the entire enemy team, but if there's AIs left on their team, the players with join in progress on can actually just spawn in, remove one of the AIs from the team, and now they actually count as a new player in the game, which can be kind of problematic when they catch you by surprise or when they catch you with low amounts of missiles, kind of like me right now. I've only got 2 Mikas left, but there's a fresh join in the lobby now that I have to go deal with, who has locked me on radar and has shot a missile at me. He's a little outside of my comfort zone for Mikas. I think shooting at him right now would be a bit of a waste, especially considering I only have 2. So again, BVR is kind of a lost concept when you get into a 1v1. We simply just a little past 90 degrees, we notch and chaff his missile, and we re-engage. The key here is to just re-engage before him. Luckily, I see an AMRAAM approaching my location on TWS there last second. I don't think it was going for me anyways, otherwise it had killed me. He gets his second missile off before me, and now I have to defend that one as well. After I'm confident I've hit the notch perfectly, we re-engage to make sure we get our next missile off before him, keeps him on the defensive here, and now the Mika's just going to do the rest. He pushes that last AMRAAM in as a last-ditch effort, which ultimately is why he died, and because of the AOA and because of the high angle attack launching, I'm able to just get into the notch in time anyways. So I hope this is kind of showcasing to you guys just how powerful this weapons kit combination is with the flight performance in isolated 1 versus 1 situations. In 16 versus 16, when you have targets absolutely everywhere, a lot of targets from many different directions, people shooting you multiple angles at once, it's not necessarily the easiest plane to use. That said, it's still always competitive, even in 16 versus 16 combat. Yet again, we have another late joiner, and behind him, another late joiner. The problem is I only have 1 Mika left, so that means I have to just try to eliminate this guy as fast as possible and then force an isolated 1v1 gunfight with the next guy, even though he doesn't actually have to take a gunfight. Thankfully for me, the F4F Ice kind of just fails at multipathing. I don't even know if he was trying to multipath. I'm not sure what exactly was going on, but he heats the Mika missile, much to my relief, because I know that the last guy is a Eurofighter. I know this because he's a question mark on my RWR, and I'm very confident that I'm going to be beating a post-nerf Eurofighter in the Rafale. The tricky part is just not dying to his AMRAAMs as we reel him in, but of course we notch and chaff the first one, we hit the deck for multipathing on the second and third one, as well as trying to use terrain masking when possible. This one clearly is not going to be fooled by the mountain. Luckily, we don't die to the tree right there. That would be the Seeker Head special. and now it's just a matter of trying to find him as he flies over us. Luckily, we get him spotted. We try to immediately 180 for him to keep that Wes jammed. We don't want him weapon employing in our zone, if you're catching my drift. And so by keeping it nice and tight here, he can't get any missiles off on me, and I don't have any missiles to fight back with, so that's kind of priority here. And now in this kind of a situation, he's going to fall out of the sky way before me. He lost all of his energy advantage pulling his 180s, and the Typhoon does not like hanging in the air in low speed anymore. It kind of just starts to stall out and look like a dying whale. And in typical top tier fashion, we get team killed by a Neanderthal's Fox 3, denying us our 5th kill of the game. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see ya.